Now to the issue of going out to eat. So many are itching to do it, but will it ever be the same? That's the question that many restaurant owners are grappling with as states start to reopen. We've seen big crowds at a few places so far, but most small restaurants across the country are really struggling. According to a recent survey, the average independent restaurant only has enough cash on hand to cover 2 weeks of expenses. So where does an industry that employs more than 15.5 million people go from here? Kana Whitworth has this story.
Sliding into a booth, bellying up at the bar, sharing a meal and a laugh with friends.
Kind of weird. It's almost like opening day.
Finally, cities across the country allowing restaurant owners to open their doors, of course, in a limited capacity and with the newest menu item, social distancing.
We're just glad to be back. Want to welcome everybody back, and hopefully we're gonna, get back to, I know it's a new normal, but some sort of a normal.
Some customers flocked to their favorite haunts. El Arroyo in Austin, Texas, so overwhelmed with customers wanting to drink their famous margaritas on the patio, they actually made the decision to close on Cinco de Mayo after opening just 4 days earlier.
Every year it's overwhelmingly busy, and we just thought, we can't really comply. And so we decided not to open the patio and just go back to go only for that day again. And that hurt our revenue, of course, but we thought it was worthwhile.
The restaurant upping the number of locally famous and hilarious signposts as well.
Guys, it's so depressing. We got to keep people smiling. So we started just to try to keep people, giving them something to smile about.
The Independent Restaurant Coalition is calling the situation across the country dire. And industry experts say limited openings with half capacity won't be enough to save the industry.
Hey everybody, here we are in Quarantine Cuisine.
Kat Cora, the first female Iron Chef and owner of 18 restaurants, isn't sure things will ever be the same.
And I think it's going to take us at least a year, if not longer, to get to some kind of new normal in restaurants, and it's going to look very different.
A recent survey estimates that restaurants have only a 30% chance of staying open long term if the COVID-19 pandemic lasts 4 months. That's the lowest odds of survival for any industry. Those who have remained in business, like Elizabeth Blau of Honey Salt in Las Vegas, have revamped their operations, creating travel easy meals, delivery and pickup operations.
It's a fraction of our normal restaurant revenue, and there'll be cars lined up out front to pick up their brunches, but it's really sad to see the chairs piled up and the tables pulled away and no one dining, no one bellied up to the bar. You're the first.
I was saying it feels so strange to stand here.
Well, everybody was still just trying to figure out what was going to happen, and we pivoted and we started to-go margaritas and delivery margaritas, and we ended up doing massive volume. We were able to rehire our employees. So we were really lucky to be in front of it, fortunately.
But for most restaurant owners, they are lucky just to keep some of their staff employed. A recent James Beard study saying on average, restaurants have laid off 91% of their hourly workforce and 70% of salaried employees. Michael Schulzen, who owns 7 Philadelphia area restaurants, had to let go nearly all of his employees.
We unfortunately had to lay everybody off. We have 1,500 employees, but we decided that my partner and I and my wife, we would go in the restaurant once a week, and we would treat it like a grocery store for all our staff members, and they could come in and just pick up food, and we would give it to them so they could kind of get through this crisis.
Governors allowing restaurants to open in several states across the country, but with their limited capacity rules, owners are still facing a dilemma. Fewer customers buying food from a restaurant that has the same operating costs. Schulzen is among several restaurant owners who say that business model simply doesn't work.
Talking, 30% occupancy, delivery, 6 feet apart. All of those things don't work for restaurants. If you go with that model, you still have employees to pay, you have utilities, you have rent, you have garbage, you have food costs, you have liquor costs, you have all these expenditures of a restaurant, but you're probably going to do 70% less in sales.
Dining out won't really be a part of American culture again until customers feel safe. But when is a big question for restaurant employees, especially in hard-hit New York, where about 80% of restaurant and bar workers have been laid off. Chef Tom Colicchio, whose hospitality group runs multiple upscale New York restaurants, says he will follow the customer's lead on reopening.
It's not a question of when we open. It's a question of when the dining public and the public feels comfortable going out into a crowded or even a semi-crowded space. I doubt this. I would not take my family out to a restaurant, and I have to assume that a lot of people aren't going to do that.
In Italy, the European country hit by the pandemic, many diners expected to enjoy their meals in a plexiglass partition. This restaurant in Seoul, South Korea has 2 screens separating each table, and customers are asked to sanitize their hands upon entry. And some reopened restaurants in China now require temperature checks at the door, full body sanitation, or they use robots rather than waiters to serve food.
I foresee us trying a lot of different inventions. I think people will be coming up with all kinds of interesting things. It's going to be interesting to see what people come up with throughout this process to make dining, to create this new normal.
Some owners say it's simply not safe to open their doors yet. Kevin Antoon of Southern Grist Brewing in Nashville says despite his commitment to keeping the staff and customers protected, they can't provide the testing the state requests.
So it seems to me like your government officials are asking you to do something, but not providing you the resources to do it.
Yeah, they're asking us to be safe and test our employees. And just like the other brewery owners that I speak to on a weekly basis, no one knows where to get these tests.
He has managed to keep 100% of his staff employed, partly because of a temporary amendment to distribution laws, allowing customers to get beer delivered or pick it up curbside. That amendment expires May 31st.
And that's where we're going to hit a big problem, and we're still not going to open. We will not put dollars in margin before human lives and health. It doesn't matter how much sales are down. We're putting the public at risk, and we will not do that. We will shut down before we do that.
An industry that has more than 1 million operations across the country is now in need of a bailout. Nearly 70% of restaurant owners say they will need a cash infusion of $50,000 just to make it another month. The Independent Restaurant Coalition was formed to help the 11 million people employed by approximately 500,000 local restaurants affected by the coronavirus crisis. They currently have a stimulus bill in front of Congress. One of the founders of that organization is Chef Tom Colicchio. He says this isn't just about helping owners like him. It's about the little guys, the lifeblood of communities across the country.
You know, if you look at restaurants, especially small independent restaurants, they're usually really sort of based in anchors of the community. And you think about where you celebrate birthdays and anniversaries and all these different milestones, you go to that mission. Yes, we need to take care of our health. We need to eventually take care of the economy, but we need these cultural institutions, these community centers there so we can feel normal on the other end of this.
Husband makes a paella. When we can put that dish on a table in front of a guest, then I'll feel confident that things are going to be okay.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.